This is Andrea Hurwitz's single that came back because she had a complaint about something about the repair that we did. So I just went over this thing, really scrutinized it, and I actually did find one little spot, and I will show it to you. But we're just doing the top end here because we video everything. But one thing I wanted to point out, which I had talked to Sheila about this when the boat was down here before we even touched it, that the notch channels have been cut, because I can see the stern end was cut, and then they repositioned them, and then when they repositioned it, someone put in the wrong screws, and the screws are too long, at least one of them is, and it protrudes through the gunnel. Now, I don't know if this is going to really show up or not, but if you can see the head of that screw, it's a rounded head which hampers the bolt that runs through that channel. But usually on a single, once you set your foot stretch, you don't move them too much, so it's not that big of a deal, I guess, for a private boat. Now, we didn't do any work to the decks of this boat at all. And I'm pretty sure that we probably did buff this boat out, the entire thing, to clean it. Now we're going to do an inspection of the hull here, and I went over this thing really close, and I found that there are some runs up in here, but we definitely did not do that. There's no way anybody in this shop would have put that kind of amount of paint to get runs out of it. And there's touch up here, and it's not even the same color that we would have used, so I know that we didn't do that. Now, coming down the hull here, we only worked on 2 areas of the boat, and after really closely scrutinizing this, now where the green tape is, and this is up in the bow section, that's where we repaired, and that's how far the blend went. So now this boat has a ton of overspray on it. Hey Dave, rub this thing, will you? And you can hear it. That's from somebody spray painting in your boathouse or near your boat. So there's one little spot there, and then as you come down the hull, I mean, there is a puncture right beyond the S there. And here's where one of those screws, which I had pointed out to Sheila when she was here, that is protruding. Because basically it's the wrong screw, it's too long. And then here on the stern, this is the section that we painted here, and again, the repair section is pretty much in the middle of these 2 green stripes. We just paint out into there to buff and blend to make it right. And there's absolutely no doubt that that's where we started and stopped, because we actually have a marker on it that we can tell. And then there's a tiny little, what we call a curtain over here, which is barely visible, but we will take care of it. And then over here, it's not going to show up in the video because I can barely see it, but right there, another screw is getting ready to come out, and that's from the shark tooth. And then here's the other side of the area that we painted. And you can see a couple little runs on this guy up here. And I'm sure we didn't do this because this blue tape on here, we would never put blue tape on a bow ball like that. We always go with white if we put any on at all. But nonetheless, we're going to take care of this for her. Okay, so here is Andrea's single, and what we did was took off this touch-up paint that was on the bow up here, and as you can see, maybe not, but a little bit of the blue is coming through, but it's not down into the substrate, so that's a good thing. And we sanded and buffed out the couple little curtains, and buffed the whole hull because the hull had overspray on it and not from us. And didn't address this little screw. It's not that big of a deal. So the boat looks nice again. It's real clean. And what we did notice was that somebody else had worked on this before. Because we can see there's a little flaw in the finish right in here, but you can't really see it on the video, I don't think, because it's white, so bright. But it's nice and clean. And we took out those two little minor flaws. And we also did the decks too. And we didn't do anything to the decks the first time it was here, but we cleaned it up anyway.